All right, we're back with another episode of the podcast. This is episode number 3. We got some interesting topics. Playing Fortnite. All right. How we doing today, Andrew? How we doing?
Good. Ready to go. I got my 9 p.m. Diet Coke in my hand so that we can go ahead and film. 100% of me, all my energy. We're ready to go, man. I'm ready to win. This will be the first podcast where we actually win a game, I think. We'll see. Oh, no, we won something in the first one. We won something in the first one.
We're going to win quicker this time around because we're more locked in. You're drinking your Diet Coke.
Yes, sir. Diet Coke for the wings. Sir, DC. I'm telling you, I'm DC the number 1 supporter right now.
Where are you?
Diet Coke. I might want to clarify that. Diet Coke.
I thought you might watch it from DC for a sec. I was going to say, maybe you should run for office.
Yeah, right? And you, Drewski the politician?
Yeah, I'd vote for you.
Thank you. You could be my vice president.
Really? I think that'd be a pretty interesting dynamic we'd have going on running the country. I think we can do it.
Yeah? You know what my first executive order would be?
What?
First executive order would be, I'm going to give another shout out today. Girl named Annie don't know what she's doing, bro. So we got to get her right. We got to get everyone else right who's out there and has a full-time job and has the ability to fund a Roth IRA and is losing money basically by not doing that. So let's get into it, Johnny. What do you know about a Roth IRA? You know, coming from someone that probably doesn't necessarily look at it as much as I do. What do you know about it? You think it's a good thing? You think it's a bad thing?
Okay. I'll tell you what I don't know about it, and it's pretty much the question you're asking me. What is a Roth IRA? I don't know what that is, but if I had to give an educated guess, I would assume it's got something to do with putting your money into some sort of account that helps you in the long term. Probably everyone should have one. And yeah, that's all I got from it, really.
A Roth IRA is a tax advantage retirement savings account. So what you do is the money you make from work that you're going to pay taxes on anyways, you can take that money and fund this account. Obviously, you want to go into it with a little bit more detail. Ask your financial advisor, have one through your employer or whatever, a personal one, what that looks like. But it's literally just like we talked about in the last podcast. You open up this account, you put money into it, and you don't have to pay taxes on the money you make when you sell stock 50 years from now, which is where the big tax bill comes from, right? If you buy something $10 now and you pay 10% on that, you pay your dollar tax, right? That's a hell of a lot better than waiting until those $10 turn into, let's just say $10,000 and you have to pay $1,000 in taxes off the gains, because the money in the stock market is made in the gains. Your retirement makes so much money because you leave it in there for so long and produces those massive gains. Capital gains is what it's called, right? So it's basically reversing the process and paying the taxes up front with money that you're going to use from work. So you literally just fund it. It keeps track of how much you have. It's such a powerful wealth building tool that actually it's capped at $7,500 for the year. You can't put in more than $7,500. Yeah, because even, that just goes to show how good this thing is. You just deposit. When you do your tax forms, ask your accountant to look over this statement about how much you contributed. They'll do all that for you. And then, you buy the stock as normal. You can buy literally anything in the stock market pretty much. And the only difference here is that you can't sell anything and get the money out until you're retired. I believe it's 62 and a half or 65. It might be one of those two. I think most people should be able that can have one or afford to have one, have the disposable income to kind of set aside, $50, $100, 200, 300, whatever a month, whatever works for you into this account. Like I said, you're not going to be able to pull it out until you're 62 or 65, something like that, tax free. You can pull it out at any point, but you're going to pay a penalty on it, which can be, 10 or 15% for pulling it out. So obviously if an emergency happens, don't think that you're locking up your money until you're 65. The whole point of this thing is government says, we'll give you a tax break, basically, huge tax advantage. And you just promise us that you will be you're not looking to pull this out until you're older. And it's a huge benefit. I mean, think about it.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna let you lock in right here before I start speaking. You can open up a regular stock account where you buy and sell stocks, but every time you buy and sell stocks, you're gonna be paying 10 to 15% in capital gains or more, depending on what your tax bracket is. That's based off your income. The more money you make, the more taxes you're gonna pay. Every time you sell a stock, you can access that money right away, but you're gonna be paying so much in taxes over the long run that although everyone should have that type of account too, they should also try to have an account that sets them up for long-term success. So if you did the math, I don't know the math off the top of my head, putting in, start with $100, you put in, I think it's like $150 or $200 a month, that age 25 to 65, let's just say, when you would pull it out tax-free. Over time, if the market grows between 7 to 10% like it has been historically, you're going to have $1 million or a little over $1 million tax-free, which doesn't seem like a lot when you think about it. You're like, oh, well, that's not that much because, in 50 years or whatever it is, $1 million isn't going to be that much. Yeah, but you're talking about free money growth in a way, almost free money growth without it being taxed, which, you're not going to get in any other sense. No one else is going to give you that deal. If you think about it, nowhere else can you go and put money aside, then be promised in a way that as long as you fit these certain rules that they have of pulling it out at 65, you're going to get all that money back, plus whatever it makes, without having to pay a single dime in taxes. Distracted, man. This freaking game, it's so hard to play this game and talk about these subjects at the same time.
Yeah,
I'm not good.
Yeah, freaking ADHD. But what was I gonna say? In the long run, it's good for retirement, or at least that's like the general gist of it.
Right, exactly. So the whole point of this account is I want to be able to know for I'm setting myself up so that whatever happens in life when I'm about to retire, I have this fund of money.
So in our previous podcast, you're telling us how to like get started in the stock market and all that with like apps like TD Ameritrade or like Robinhood. If I wanted to get set up for a Roth IRA, would I use those same apps too, or would I have to go through something else?
Yeah, so you could use the same broker, right? It's literally a broker. You get access to all kinds of accounts. It's just about deciding which account benefits you and why. So,
We're getting lit up right now. Talk about locking.
It's the same thing with a broker or like a bank account. I sign up with Wells Fargo, but I can get a high yield savings account. I can get a regular savings account. I can get a checking account. I can get a college savings account. I can get a CD. So there's so many different things, but you get the broker. Any broker will do all these accounts for you. And you can have all these accounts under one thing. So you can have a regular investment account, a retirement Roth IRA account, what have you. All there's all kinds of different other ones out there. But the main one that people should be looking into is the Roth IRA. It just leverages a bunch of compounding interest in money as tax-free. I mean, I'm kind of repeating myself here, but you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars if you start young. It can really change your life. People don't know about it. And if you think about it, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but how many people do you think probably work, right? How many senior citizens are still working because they don't have retirement?
Probably, if I'm being honest, I don't know. Like they're like college professors and stuff like that. Like that's what they end up being, like substitute teachers. So I'd assume some at least, right?
We're gonna see. 22% of retirement age Americans are still working because they need to. Right? Because there's still people that work when they're retired to keep themselves busy. But 22% of Americans that have the ability to retire are working because they have no choice. That people don't realize. So, I mean, just think about that. Every time you go into like if you go to like a Walmart, right? And you see like the old guy greeting you or the old lady greeting you, and you're like, well, maybe they're working because they want. Well, no, 22% of the time they're not, apparently. So they need to. And that's sad because we live in an environment where people have the tools, but the whole point of what we're doing here is people don't know because they're never taught that. They're never given access to this information. I don't know why. I feel like it's pretty messed up. Given the fact that the stock market goes crazy every year. But we have the ability to teach people, so yeah, we should.
Anyway,
Take your spiel on that.
I like your thinking.
Yeah. That's why I need to make President Drewski, bro.
That's true. I was gonna start some like cartel business, but now that I know I can still have some money after I retire, it's good to know that I won't have to sell powdered sugar or whatever on the down low, you know?
That's right. You're saying that because you wouldn't be able to retire, you were gonna do that?
Have sorry, cartel business.
No. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, Chomso?
For once? Yeah.
Yes. I mean, with the way inflation is going, it's going crazy. And you definitely want to be involved in this stuff too, because it kind of also cancels out inflation. Because if you're gaining, think about it this way. There's a thing between nominal rate and the real rate. Nominal rate means the percentage that you're gaining. So if you're making 7% on your money, the nominal rate is 7%. If inflation is if inflation is 5%, then the real rate is the difference between the percentage that you're making minus inflation. If inflation is 5%, but you're making 7%, real rate's actually 2%.
Inflation is good.
No, inflation would be bad in that case because you would be if inflation was 0, you'd be making 7%, not 2%. You follow me?
Okay, I see.
Right? So that's why it's also important to understand too, at those $150, if you just put it in a bank account and save it and don't put it into something that's going to grow, you're technically losing 2% even by not even spending it, because inflation is always going to be 2% minimum. And I think right now it's like 2.93. If you're not making at least 3% on your money that you have saved up, you're going to be losing money theoretically every year.
Wow.
So right, that's another thing to think about too. And that's why it's always like putting your cash in the safe or putting your cash in under your bed. Yeah, it's safe. No one's going to take it. But in 30 years from now, when that cash, you know, you have 40 grand that you saved up and busted your ass trying to save and put in the couch, and that is really worth probably the equivalent of 2 grand. Was it really worth all that hassle for that? You know what I mean?
Right.
So
you that? Yeah. My game just crashed. But it's okay. When the footage is still running, we're still recording. So my game just
so I'm all on my own.
For a bit.
But you know what's not going to hopefully ever be inflationary?
What?
Costco food court, my guy.
Really? Have prices been going up or down? I don't know. What?
People lost their mind when the dollar hot dog went from being $1 to $1.50. I was like, oh, okay, relax.
You know, I remember I saw this one video of this old guy. I'll try to see if I could find it, but like he kept on screaming, "Enough is enough," and like, cause like make hot dogs like $1.50 again on the menu of $1.50. It's pretty funny. Like
enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough.
50 cents ain't gonna kill you, bro. So
for 12 inches in your mouth. Just think about that. What in the
all right. It's all right.
What's your favorite menu item from Costco? I like the chicken bake a lot. Not because of the Costco guys. I've always been on the chicken bake hype.
Chicken bake? I've never tried it. I would probably say Costco pizza, but it's not even close. How much for what?
Like, they're pretty cheap, no?
Yeah, they're $10. That's what I'm saying. And that's what we're saying. Talking about inflation, it's like Costco's doing their best to keep its prices as low as possible for us, which is great. Clutch, man.
I think Costco's able to do it, but not like Walmart.
At Walmart?
Like, I think Costco's been able to like keep their prices so close like to each other, but like Walmart has to like increase theirs. Not just like Walmart specifically, like obviously like everybody else is doing it, but like the thought train that's like making it work out for them, you know?
Well, Costco has a really good business where their whole thing is, one, we're going to buy everything in bulk, right? So it's already cheaper off the bat because it's all in bulk, and they're selling it to you in bulk, so the margins are still high. So that's another thing, makes the cost per unit is cheaper. And on top of that, they're making all these membership fees. So that's where they get most of their money. In fact, there's some products out there. I'll pin certain articles on the video. There's certain products out there where they're actually losing money on it, but by having those products there, it drives customers to buy other products that make them higher margins and money. And then obviously it keeps them buying the membership, which is their main growth driver. So Costco loses money on some products,
totally forgot about the membership. It's kind of hard to remember that they do have one when I like just keep using my mom's. So
Okay. Yeah, when you have your own, you're kind of a stud, man. You got to flex.
yeah,
I got my own. I try to flex everywhere I go.
that's pretty cool. I wish I had my own. I mean, I could sign up for it. I just never did. If I did, I'd be getting fat after freaking double chunk chocolate cookies and their chicken bakes. That's for sure.
Can you give us your best impression?
Double chunk chocolate cookie. Hey, hell that.
Let's talk about a little bit, since I'm kind of locked in right now. Let's talk about the new Captain America movie. What your thoughts were. We went to go see it together. What did you think about it? How do you think it's going to perform for the fans, just from a fanatic point of view? And then how do you think it's going to perform from a business point of view for Disney stock and the overall movie theaters? You think it's going to, it's not anything new, right? But ever since COVID, you obviously know movie theaters have slowly started to get people back, if at all. People can just stream now. So you think, from both perspectives, give me both perspectives.
Okay, Captain America movie. I liked it. Solid 7 out of 10 in my opinion. I think it's a good like C tier movie, and that says a lot coming from Marvel because they've been like on like the decline as of lately. Like there's that like post Endgame like stuff that's going on where like 90% of the movies have been misses. I think like the only good ones I can name off the top of my head was like the Spider-Man one with the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. I'm gonna cancel it because I don't remember any of the other ones that came out after. But Guardians of the Galaxy 3, that was a good one. That was another memorable one. But back to Captain America. Yeah, I thought it was an okay movie. It's not a We Are So Back movie, but it wasn't bad, or at least when like the movie first came out, a lot of these like Marvel influencers were like, "This is garbage. There's no like heart into this movie and all that," and I didn't get that feeling or impression, so I thought it was okay. Hashtag Sam Wilson is my Captain America, because I know some people might be saying otherwise. But or not my Captain America, but he's a Captain America. Chris Evans will always have a special place in my heart.
Okay,
But
understandable. So, yeah, that's a lot of people. I agree.
But from like a financial perspective, if I'm not mistaken, I think the movie had like $100 million budget and ended up making more than that.
During COVID, their problem was they wanted to do quantity over quality, and that's why Marvel kind of took a dip. But knowing that they did quantity over quality, just going back to my original question with you, do you think naturally Disney has been doing pretty good in the box office? They were number one last year. Do you think from a fan's perspective, knowing that you're obviously more into it than I am, it's enough to bring back that mentality of we're not there yet, but there's hope that these movies will be good again one day?
Not really. If I'm gonna be honest, I think the Fantastic Four movie is gonna have that like We Are So Back feel to it. I think Captain America is a good stepping stone for that, but I don't think it's that movie. I think it's gonna be the Fantastic Four for sure. And the reason why is because it's the whole like Doctor Doom situation and Robert Downey Jr. coming back to the MCU, and it's setting you up for like the next two Avengers films, which is why I think Fantastic Four has to be a good movie. But there's a lot of hype around it too for other reasons too, like good casting. It might feel or look a little different than what you're used to in a normal Marvel movie. I feel like a lot of people have always wanted the Fantastic Four to be good, but the last like 2 or 3 movies that were made were as great. I mean, I can't say much for the first one that came out like in the 1900s. But I know the last 2 were like kind of weird and cringe. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Fantastic Four one. I think that's gonna be that's my like anticipated movie of the year. Like last year was Sonic 3 for me, which was my movie of the year, but this year it's gonna be the Fantastic Four.
You know which one I'm looking forward to, believe it or not? I'm looking forward to that live action Stitch.
What? Yeah, that was coming out. That's in like a few weeks, right? Or am I wrong?
Something like that.
Yeah, it seemed pretty cool. See, I haven't seen much of it outside of that Super Bowl commercial. I think it was like Stitch running through a football field. That's pretty lit.
That was super creative, man. Talk about some good marketing.
Yeah.
I was like, I was drunk out of my mind, but I was watching that during the game, of course, and I was like, what the? I actually for a second was like, is that real? It was pretty good.